forecasted to be around 10 degrees, along with sub-zero wind chills. President Trump tweeted about the frigid temperatures, joking, "In the East, it could be the coldest New Year's Eve on record. Perhaps we could use a little bit of that good old global warming that our country, but not other countries, was going to pay trillions of dollars to protect against. Bundle up." However, a U.S. report released just last month said the last 3 years have been the warmest on record and concluded with 95 to 100% certainty that global warming is man-made. Joining me now for more is Bill Nye, the Science Guy, CEO of the Planetary Society and an outspoken critic of the president's views on science. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
The New York Times despairs the tweet, drawing attention to a big distinction. Look at this. It says Mr. Trump's tweet made the common mistake of looking at local weather and making broader assumptions about the climate at large. Climate refers to how the atmosphere acts over a long period of time, while weather describes what's happening on a much shorter time scale. Is this the big issue, you think, surrounding global warming, that people cannot think about long-term effects? They're just looking out the window and making an opinion?
No, I think most people really do understand it. Our problem here is the introduction of doubt, of this idea that, well, it's cold, so, to your point, that it's cold, so therefore it's not a serious issue. Only 40% of people in the U.S. Think that Congress should be addressing this, and that's because certain conservative groups, especially from the fossil fuel industry, have been very successful in introducing the idea that scientific uncertainty, plus or minus 2%, is the same as plus or minus 100%. Now, where are we, Chanel? We're the place for politics.
You know what? Let me follow up on that. This actually leads to my next question. So in President Trump's tweet, he also brought up withdrawing from the Paris Agreement. However, just this week, 10 more cities signed on to the Chicago Climate Charter, where cities pledged to stick to the guidelines of the agreement anyway. So can global warming be helped perhaps without the aid of the federal government?
Well, it would be better to have everybody working together, wouldn't it? But there's a lot of emphasis from conservatives on what are writ large you'd call states' rights. Well, just watch out, conservatives. If states' rights include California, Illinois, New York, these places that where people voted in a progressive fashion, watch out if all of those places start to address climate change and then impose economic sanctions, either overtly or by default, on places that have not embraced the work that needs to be done. So then you're going to end up with this sort of states' rights working the other way.
Well, you said in the past that I can tell you're frustrated, obviously. You said in the past that science will survive Trump. So in your opinion, then, what should scientists do right now, then, to ensure that people are hearing and believing their research?
Well, okay, you guys, don't get me wrong. Just expecting scientists to solve this problem.
No, we don't expect scientists to solve the problem, but what's the plan?
Well, the plan is we stick with, for example, the Solutions Project, where civil engineers have shown that there's enough electricity that could be produced from wind and solar energy, some geothermal, some tidal energy, to run the entire United States, indeed the whole world, right now, renewably, if we decided to do it. If we just got to work the same way my parents got to work, winning World War II, and not single-handedly, the whole country, the whole Allied group, the Allies were in concert on this. But everybody, the political problem is that we got to remind people that we're all in this together. The people I think about all the time are what are eloquently stated as the hillbillies. We want to engage everybody. Not working to address climate change is in no one's best interest. It is not in the best interest, especially of your children and grandchildren. We've all got to work together, and we can do this. So, a couple times you mentioned that I am against the president and so on. Well, I mean, I'm especially against the president. I just think he's gotten himself surrounded by people who are willing to mortgage the future, to let the people who are coming into the workforce now pay for the future. This is true not just with regard to the national debt, which will almost certainly increase the same way it tripled under the beloved Ronald Reagan. Not only will that national debt increase, but the climate debt, in a sense, what we have to do to address climate change, will be more and more difficult to pay back or pay down. So what we want to do is get everybody working together the same way people were working together, as I say, during World War II. Everybody was involved of any political inclination. And I just want us to be optimistic. I want, Mr. President, let's go. Let's solve this problem. Let's have domestic jobs producing energy, electricity domestically.
I have to leave it there, but I'll take your optimism. Who can say no to that?
And if I don't see it tomorrow or the next day, I'll see you next year.
Happy New Year, Bill Nye, my friend. And let me plug your show for a second. Your show, Bill Nye Saves the World, returns for a second season today on Netflix, right?
Today.
Yes.
Started at 3 a.m.
Is that how that works? If you want to binge this long weekend on topics like extinction,
there's
sleep,
6 new shows.
Superbugs, even time travel, which I'm actually very interested in.
Time travel, everybody loves that. It's the latest in astrophysics.
When you figure it out, you just give me a call. You know where I am.
Yes, ma'am. And the first, we're older now than when this started. Wait, that's crazy.